Live from the 607, it's the Ocho Duro Parlay Hour, where we're talking everything going on in the world of sports. Join in the conversation on social media with the hashtag ODPH, because here we go.
Instead of looking deep inside, every word I have to say, keep it simple, stupid.
Welcome to an all-new edition of the ODPH podcast. What is happening, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us this week. My name is Ken M. Joining me in studio, as always, you know him. He's the co-host. He's a statistician to the stars. His name is Padawan J.
You know, things are so bad down in Dallas with the Mavericks that you and I are getting emails from their front office looking for help on their starting roster.
I know. I'm working on my jump shot right now because,
Mine's rusty.
yeah. But like I say, if you're going to offer me a 10-day contract to go play in the NBA, I will take you up on that.
I won't say no.
Yeah, well, we can obviously fit the podcast in there, too, because there is a lot to discuss, though, during games and after the games, too, and that's why we say that's why you tune into the Parlay of Topics. We cover a lot as this is a fusion edition of the show, and after there, Pad, where does everybody go?
ODPHpodcast.com.
Right on. Swing on over to the website. Check out everything from social media links, blogs, classified section, which has friends of the show, such as 3FN Podcast, Dragon Master Games, Nerd Initiative, and many more. A directory which has how many providers, Pat?
835,649.
And your source?
Trust me, bro.
So if you're looking for the ODPH, we have links that you can find it on your favorite podcatcher. And when you do, leave us a review. Let us know how you're doing. Because, you know, we like to get that feedback going from you as well, because obviously we talk a lot of the Parlay of Topics, and we want to keep those conversations rolling. So we want to know what you want to hear, what you don't, and we go from there. Last but certainly not least, we have a fantastic music section where you hear a lot of the music on the show, and you can go download it yourself. I know Tom Jolu is actually, I got to spotlight him for a sec.
Yeah.
He's back now doing his newsletter.
Nice.
Very, very cool thing. So if you haven't checked out Tom's stuff, along with the other bands there, you definitely want to make sure you do it. And if it's anything else that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. And always remember, if you're using hashtags, why not use the hashtag ODPHpod? Kicking off the fusion edition of the show, where we're going to be combining the worlds of sports and entertainment. One, I think, merged them very well. And
Yeah.
this event has crossed over into pop culture.
I've had people asking me about this, and this is people who don't watch pro wrestling at all.
Yeah, this is one that when it went down Saturday night, I don't think anybody outside the pro wrestling world thought it would reach the levels it did. Or maybe they had an inkling that it might.
It got acknowledged by the MLB Facebook account.
MLB covered it. ESPN First Take covered it.
Yep.
Even Jon Stewart messaged it on The Daily Show,
geez.
which I don't want to reference because we make a stance about not talking politics on here.
Yeah.
But he does a comparison to some recent event that happened.
Okay.
I will leave it at that.
Okay.
Pad, we are going to be talking about WWE's Elimination Chamber that took place this past weekend from Toronto. A lot of storylines going on the last premium live event. I almost said pay-per-view, but it's
Same thing.
It's forced to habit.
You got to pay to watch it.
Because you watch on the Peacock streaming service.
Or Netflix if you're one of the lucky ones.
Yes, because this is the last big event, quote unquote, before WrestleMania takes place in April in Las Vegas, Nevada. So, Pat, let us recap the controversial card that was.
Yeah, so this took place, as you mentioned, from the Rogers Center, which, of course, is where the Toronto Blue Jays play, up in Toronto, Canada, with an announced attendance of 38,493. Might be on par with an average Blue Jays game. I don't know.
It's up there.
It's up there. But, yeah, so going to go down the card, and the first match that took place was the Women's Elimination Chamber match. Now, of course, this was the winner of this match would earn an opportunity to face the Women's World Champion at WrestleMania 41. And this was between Naomi, Roxanne Perez, Alexa Bliss, Bayley, Liv Morgan, and Bianca Belair. And emerging victorious, winning in 29 minutes and 15 seconds. Although, let's face it, there was a lot more going on in that match past 29 minutes and 15 seconds, a little bit longer than that. But emerging victorious and winning the opportunity was Bianca Belair.
Yeah, this one was not a very traditional Elimination Chamber match.
No.
It starts off with the returning Jade Cargill, who is coming to confront whoever was responsible for taking her out on Monday Night Raw a few months back.
Yeah, so Bayley Roxanne Perez, Alexa Bliss, and Bianca were all in the pods.
Yes.
And then left out were Naomi and Liv Morgan, which, hey, given recent storylines, made all the sense in the world. So it looks like things are going to, get started. Naomi and Bianca had talked about, on SmackDown, on Raw, on some of the social videos posted, how they were looking to get their revenge at Liv Morgan for what she and Raquel Rodriguez did to Jade Cargill. They're going to get theirs. We got receipts, that whole thing. And lo and behold, match didn't even start. And we picked up on this when the match started that the door wasn't shut yet. And we're like, why is the door not shut?
Yeah.
Maybe a little slight camera work issue. Who knows? But sure enough, we found our reason, and that was Jade Cargill's music hit. And Jade Cargill comes out, and we're like, oh, all right, we're doing this now. Weird way to start it. So she comes down to the ring, enters the chamber, and there's a great video that's been posted that shows the camera from inside Bianca's pod, along with the footage that was shown on the broadcast. Watch that if you haven't seen it. Fantastic video. But everyone lives pleading like, I didn't do it. I did this. It wasn't me. And she starts walking towards Liv, only to take a left turn and start beating the holy you-know-what out of Naomi.
Yeah.
Right in front of Bianca.
Yeah, this one was a little crazy to see the setup for, but it definitely worked for what it needed to do because obviously...
Shock value.
Yeah, it was complete shock value because it had been a big mystery storyline that's been going on between both shows, honestly, for quite some time. So now it seems like there's some idea of Naomi being responsible, but I am still sticking to my guns and saying that it was Bianca Belair who set up Naomi, because I think if you notice how she was wording a few things post-match and her mannerisms a little bit, you can definitely tell I think she tipped off more was going on.
Could be.
But once they got into the match, this was a very fun match.
Yeah, it was good.
I think the spot that everybody knows is when Liv was climbing on the side of the cage. Bianca used her hair as a weapon, and it sounded like an Indiana Jones whip.
Sounded like a full-on bullwhip, like Indiana Jones uses. It was wild. She's done it before. I don't remember it being that loud.
No, it was never that loud. So the fact that this went down in the manner it did, Liv was definitely wearing the scars from this.
Oh, yeah. All the way around her, from her back all the way onto her stomach.
Yes. So this was a very back and forth match, like I say, with all the competitors doing it very well. But at the end of the day, Bianca Belair wins.
Yep.
And now punches her ticket to face the champion at WrestleMania, who originally was supposed to be Rhea Ripley. However, there is a curveball that was thrown in this past Monday night, which we can touch upon quickly.
Yeah, so during the qualifying matches for the Elimination Chamber match, obviously Io Sky was among them. Shenanigans ensued. Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez were doing their whole thing. Rhea came out, tried to stop them, ended up costing Io Sky a chance to qualify for the Elimination Chamber. So as a way to say, hey, I'm sorry, she gave her a championship opportunity on Monday Night Raw. The thing that was pointed out online that I did not realize is going into this match, Io Sky was undefeated in matches in WWE against Rhea Ripley, which, gotta admit, I did not know that.
Yep.
Wild stat. Because there's not a lot of people who've beaten Rhea Ripley that many times in WWE. But so we get through the match, and I don't know about you, I was waiting the whole time this match was going on for Liv and Raquel to start their BS and come out. Mercifully, it didn't happen. But Bianca was there at ringside because, hey, she's got a vested interest in this match because, hey, whoever wins, she's going to face at WrestleMania. And towards the end of the match, she got up and looked like she was supporting Io Sky, applauding and cheering and the whole line. And Rhea took exception to that. Things got a little heated. Could have called for the DQ, but credit to the referee, Jessica Carr. She said, hey, we're not doing this. This isn't how we're doing this. Sit down, knock it off. And they went back about their words. And Rhea kind of got, in her words, distracted. She took her eye off the ball. There's a great video from, I believe it was Kathy Kelly, interviewed her after the show. Check that out if you haven't seen it on social media, where she took her eye off the ball. She admitted it.
Yeah.
And she looked at Bianca and said, hey, Bianca, I'll see you at WrestleMania, and went to go hit Io with the finisher. Io countered, hit her with her own finisher. 1, 2, 3. Io is your new Women's World Champion and is facing Bianca Belair at WrestleMania 41.
For now.
For now.
I feel, though, by the time it's all said and done, we're going to have a triple threat.
Probably.
Because with Rhea Ripley, the question now becomes, where do you go from here with her? Obviously, arguably, you're one of your biggest stars, arguably the biggest one on your women's division.
I would put her up there, yeah.
So you have to give her a marquee matchup. I think the triple threat is the only way you can do this, unless you go for a very big wild card.
Okay.
And I know we'll touch upon this when we talk about the men's match.
Okay.
But during last night's Monday Night Raw, CM Punk cut an amazing promo.
Promo of the year thus far.
And in which there was a reference about Becky Lynch.
Yeah.
Well, that wasn't the only time that was said during the show.
Yeah.
So my guess, and granted it is a guess,
could be,
if you're going to be mentioning her quite often, would that mean that she would get involved somehow? Like maybe they're teasing a return for her. It would be a surprise one, but still it would be that's a box office match, especially last year when Rhea wrestled Becky. Becky was sick.
Yes.
Or she had, was it COVID?
She had some flu-like symptoms.
Yeah, I think she had flu because she would not have been cleared if she had COVID.
Yeah, correct.
So my apologies on that. But she was not 100% physically able to go, but she still did the match. So I would not doubt them running it back.
Could be.
But we have to wait to see how they do. But I think for right now, we'll have to keep an eye on this. But I'm going to say triple threat is probably the way to go.
I'm thinking the same thing. I'm all right if they go with your other method of, Rhea faces Becky. That's a great matchup either way. That can main event literally any pay-per-view, and it's a marquee matchup. I think it's going to be a triple threat, though, and I think no matter what, it's going to be Io Sky retaining, just because, hey, it's nothing against Bianca. She's had her WrestleMania moments. Mm-hmm. She had a couple of them. Rhea Ripley had her WrestleMania moments. Io Sky, as of yet, has not really had her WrestleMania moment. And I think, you know what? You want to put her against two of the top women on the roster now and have her beat them both at WrestleMania in Vegas, with in front of what's probably going to be a record-breaking crowd. Hey, what better way to have a moment?
Yeah, that's what I think they're really looking to make happen here. Yeah. They really, obviously with WrestleMania, it's the biggest show of the year, and all pro wrestling, you want to make moments no matter what. So that's the easy route to go. But like we say, we still got some time to put this all together.
Yep.
But I
Less
think
than 50 days now?
Yeah, but I think after next week's Monday Night Raw in Madison Square Garden,
oh baby,
I think we'll have a little more clarity about where we're going.
Yeah. Next up was a tag team match with Nia Jax teaming up with Candice LeRae to take on a powerhouse team of Tiffany Stratton and the Hall of Famer Trish Stratus.
I will be honest, I did not really like this match, but I did not hate this match.
It was fine.
It was fine for what it was meant to do, and that's to get Trish on the show.
Yeah.
It gave Tiffany something to do in between now and her WrestleMania match against Charlotte Flair.
And it gave her at least a matchup that on paper you can look at, understand, and go, okay, that makes sense. It's not just thrown together for the sake of, we got to get her on the card.
Yeah, and I think it was a good way to establish Tiffany becoming a face, I guess.
Yeah.
But there really wasn't a lot to go off this. And it's not to say the four performers did badly. They did not.
No.
But this was a very cut and dry match. Got the spots in that they needed to do and just right home. Like I say, that's the only thing I could really say it was a takeaway from this.
It was I don't want to say it was a filler match, but it was kind of like just to kind of, when you look at what match preceded it and you look at what match proceeded it, came after it, you kind of look at it and go, okay, this is a match that it's not exactly a barn burner. It's not going to light the crowd on fire. We're not going to have people going nuts, but it's just a nice bridge. Mm-hmm. Next up was the unsanctioned match between Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens, and emerging victorious, winning via pinfall in 27 minutes and 35 seconds, Kevin Owens.
Well, this was everything we were expecting.
Hellacious.
Yeah, these two, anytime you put them in a ring together as opponents, it's going to be brutal.
Yeah.
They go all out to put the other one over. I mean, they've done this for
barbed wire on a chair.
Time-honored tradition. Like, they've done this they're the originators of Fight Forever.
It's like they're contractually obligated to fight every couple of years.
Yeah, so this one lived up to the expectation. They went crazy with it. Great ending. And then, like we talked about on the show, gotta say, we had a feeling Randy Orton was going to come back for this. Different capacity, but he still came back.
After the match is over, Kevin continues the fight. He's trying to beat the holy hell out of Sami Zayn. At one point, starts pulling up the padding on the floor of the stadium, and so which is straight concrete, and is looking to drop him on his head give him a package pile driver on the concrete. Doesn't get through with it though, as you alluded to. Randy comes back, and Randy channeling his inner legend killer.
Yep,
went for the punt, got stopped though.
got stopped, but I think they're saving that for Mania.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, which is the right call to do.
Uh-huh.
So we now know that is going to be a marquee matchup. Like, they have not officially assigned it, but all signs point to that.
Yeah.
The only question now is, where does Sami Zayn go from here?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm almost fearful he's going to miss WrestleMania.
He might.
Unless there's something behind the scenes we don't know about.
He might get left on the Andre the Giant Battle Royal that takes place on SmackDown.
Yeah, but I don't know.
Which isn't even on the main card anymore.
I could see him getting thrown into some match.
Sure.
Like, it'll
Sure.
because he deserves to be on the show. But that's the only thing that's tough is
Could be special guest referee, maybe.
I don't know if they would do that.
I'm just kind of spitballing here.
Yeah. I don't know if they would do that here.
I don't think he can be impartial.
No, but depending on what they do with the Intercontinental title, I could see that going.
One guy you're on friendly terms with, or at least I'm guessing he's on friendly terms with Randy Orton. The other one tried to drop you on your head repeatedly.
Right. So I don't know. Jury is still out on that one. We'll have to see.
Yeah.
I'm just hoping that they don't try selling the injury angle that long.
Yeah.
That's just something I'm worried about.
Yeah.
But we'll have to see, because obviously wherever you plug in Sammy, he'll be fine.
Then you get to the main event of the evening. This was the men's Elimination Chamber match, and of course the winner of this match would go on to face Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania 41 for the undisputed WWE Championship. And of course you had entering in this matchup Drew McIntyre, Seth freaking Rollins, Damian Priest, Logan Paul, Juan Cena, CM Punk, a couple Hall of Famers in there, they're there. Hellacious match, but emerging victorious, winning in 32 minutes and 40 seconds, John Cena. Of course, there's a lot more that goes on with this.
There's a lot of moving parts going on.
A lot of
with this.
baggage.
Yeah, which this was not a big shock. I think we alluded to something last week that came to fruition.
Yep.
Concerning Cena, and that was that Cena was going to walk away with this. CM Punk definitely was in that conversation.
Oh, sure.
But at the end of the day, this is Cena's farewell tour. We do know that there is a timestamp he's out.
He has, now this was at the start of the year. I believe it was 38 dates.
Yes.
And he said after the year is over, I'm done.
Right.
So there's no, he could add on time, but no, he's done.
No, he's out.
He's out.
So I think taking that into perspective, we knew that he was going to be around the title picture. And listen, you can say what you want that, he's jumping ahead of a lot of wrestlers.
It's his final WrestleMania
Yeah.
as a performer.
Yeah, like, I'm sorry.
If you expected him to be in anything other than a title match, and I'm not talking U.S. or Intercontinental, you're fooling yourselves.
Right. However, though, it now makes more sense of where they're going with, because I know originally when Jey Uso had won the Royal Rumble and they went with Gunther.
Sure.
I know that you and I both were kind of like, I don't know if I really like this.
Uh-huh.
It now makes more sense
Yeah.
because they tipped their hand a little bit with what happened after the show. And I will say, we called that here too.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, well, and I think in the process they also might have set up another match during this, and that was Drew McIntyre entered first, was eliminated first and eliminated by Damian Priest in 13 minutes and 10 seconds. So I think that might get added to one of the nights at WrestleMania. That'd be a good match.
Yeah, Drew and Damian, I think, would be a smart match.
Yeah.
Like I say, but there's something,
Yep.
Obviously this, and that's the whole point of the Elimination Chamber, where you have the 6 combatants come in and they're fighting for the title shot. So stakes are high, so you're going to have some stuff spiral out from here. But
Yep.
with Seth Rollins giving the stomp to CM Punk to solidify.
after he was eliminated.
Yeah,
and that was the other moment we noticed was the door was still open, and we're like, why is the door still open?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Seth Rollins was eliminated second to last, fourth, if you want to get specific. And then was hanging about in the ring. Punk and Cena are back in the ring together, which can we talk about like time missed between the two and not missing a beat despite there being like 10 years between their matches?
Two professionals with the history they have. Yeah, that was
awesome.
I had an idea that was going to go down that way.
The one when I missed you, the other said I missed you too. Oh, it was poetic. It was storybook.
Well, you have to think about it in this context. I mean, John Cena's reign as champion, he fought everybody that is superstars.
True.
And you think about when CM Punk took that next level in WWE.
Yep.
And it was the pipe bomb scenario.
Yeah.
It was the Money in the Bank. It was like that whole thing that pushed him to a whole new plateau. Which,
walking out with the belt.
Yeah, which if he did not do that with John Cena, I'll be honest. Personally, I don't think he would have got to that level that he's at now.
It wouldn't have had the same impact. No.
So there's a lot of stuff there. And even when Punk cut in that infamous pipe bomb promo,
Yeah.
John, I don't hate you. In fact, I really like you.
Yeah.
there's something to that. So seeing those two get back in the ring doing that definitely was a cool moment.
But yeah, Punk and Cena ended up being the last two in the ring, and through technical submission, Cena put Punk in a submission hold, and Punk passed out, and Cena emerged victorious.
Yeah, which, I mean, perfect storytelling.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to have Punk, whose storyline is to get to WrestleMania and main event, that is the whole kit and caboodle with him.
Never done it.
Yeah.
That will never main evented, I should say.
Yeah. So he needs to get to Mania.
Yep.
If anything less just does not work.
Yep.
So now John Cena has now taken that spotlight from him. Kind of a interesting moment too, because obviously knowing what was said after the Royal Rumble in the press conference, Cena was very determined and focused on getting where he wanted to go, and that is the world title.
Yeah.
So he is in there. Cody Rhodes comes out. And they kind of have their little one-off. Then The Rock comes out with Travis Scott.
Of all people. Because reasons.
Yeah, reasons. I'm not going to lie about this.
Well, I think the whole onus of it was he was there at Fanatics Fest when they gave him, I think it's like the hardcore belt. But it's not officially the hardcore belt. It's whatever belt they gave him.
Yeah.
And then he was at the first show on Netflix where I think he was technically supposed to perform but chose not to, and he came out with Jay. So he's been there for 2 moments. I wouldn't even say, as cool as the Jay entrance was, in 5 years, I'll even go, I'll go sooner. In 2 years, I probably won't really think of off the top of my head. It's a cool moment in this time and place, but in a couple of years, I don't think anyone's going to really remember it. So, but it's effectively, he was playing Dennis Rodman with the NWO.
Well, I think what they're trying to do in this new TKO era is they're trying to get a lot of cross participation from pop culture.
Yeah.
And Travis is doing something with the Monday Night Raw theme.
He is, I guess, something to do with like he's done the music for the official theme.
Right.
Something like that.
So, obviously, bringing him in is going to have some headlines.
Yeah.
Much like when they featured every single Netflix celebrity that
Still
was in the show, albeit no Drake, even though he was in attendance.
Remind me when we get to the whole Cena bit at the end, remind me to bring up Drake again.
Yeah. But this is something TKO is trying to do. So putting Travis Scott in there was an interesting move. But like you touched upon at the LA Stadium, him and Jey Uso had a very big viral moment about their entrance coming to the ring.
Burning
sage, quote unquote.
If that's what you believe, I got a boat to sell you.
Exactly. So to see them come down to the ring, and this was going back on The Rock's proposal, the Faustian deal, if you will.
Yeah, the I want your soul.
Yeah, which makes no damn sense.
I'll say, can we check on the Undertaker? Is he still alive?
Well, I mean, the whole
He's
point.
still around?
The whole point now, which I mean, this is one of the biggest problems I have with this. The Rock is there. He had the heel moment.
Yep.
Head of the family bloodline last year.
Yep.
He comes back and he's trying to be like a weird in between.
He's trying to be like Vince was back in the Attitude Era.
Well,
to a degree.
To a degree, I would say. I mean, he's trying to play both sides, but it doesn't come across that way because you when he came back, he made up with Cody.
Yep.
And then,
had the live stream on Instagram with them sipping Terramana.
Yeah. So,
had the whole thing of like, oh, we buried the Hatchet brother. It's all good.
Yeah, which if this is supposed to be storyline building, I think they missed the mark.
Uh-huh.
So now he comes in and says, I want you to be the champion. I'm my champion, but I want your soul.
I can open doors for you. I can take you to places you've never been.
Yeah, which it's kind of
like...
When
heel, then face, then heel, then face.
Yeah, because
Big Show was envious.
Yeah, he's insulting the crowd at one point, and then comes back, like I say. So there's a lot of back and forth that's very confusing.
It's what happens when you give a person an open mic and no real guidelines.
Well, the thing is, with The Rock, what are you going to say? It's The Rock.
Yeah.
He's going to do what he's going to do. Yeah, like that's the thing. So, and plus he's on the board of directors. They're not going to tell him what to do. So as they come to the ring, he comes in for his answer he's demanding. Now Cena's in the ring too.
Yep.
And Cody is kind of back and forth about like teasing it a little bit.
Did a phenomenal job.
Oh yeah, Cody did a great job about selling this because he's like, I want it all. But unfortunately, I've sold my soul to this ring and these people. Mm-hmm. And Rock
Go fuck yourself.
Yep, says it completely uncensored.
Although now it's censored on Netflix.
Yeah, which we knew was going to happen.
Yeah.
So obviously the crowd goes crazy. John Cena's going wild.
Yeah.
The Rock is sitting there very embarrassed. Travis Scott is just standing in the corner doing Travis Scott things.
Like Dennis Rodman.
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we don't really understand his point in this unless they're just going to try getting crossover appeal. However, though,
They're alluding to him wrestling.
They're alluding to that, and I do have a theory on that, but I don't know if they're going to do this.
Travis Scott versus Bad Bunny.
Yep.
Book it.
He tweeted out.
Hey,
Bad Bunny tweeted out something about that. So,
hey, Travis Scott, how good can you take a Canadian destroyer?
well, we're going to find out at some point, I think, because if he's getting physically involved, there's got to be some kind of ramifications for that.
Two of the biggest artists today.
Yeah, which we see as the celebration is going on. Cena comes over, gives the one-armed hug to Cody.
Yep.
Cena is staring at The Rock.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, Cena's demeanor changes.
Facial expression 180s.
Yep. So we see him make just like all the excitement just disappears from his face.
Yep.
The Rock gives the throat slash sign.
Yep.
Cena steps back, kicks Cody right in the junk, and the three of them, and note I said three of them, decide to put a whooping on one Cody Rhodes.
And according to reports, Travis Scott might have busted Cody's eardrum.
Yeah, heard about a busted eardrum, possibly a black eye.
Yeah.
So they did a number on this, because this, I will say, this kind of took me out a little bit, because this felt like I was watching AEW Dynamite.
Yeah.
With the post-match beatdown that went way too long.
You weren't the only one at our watch party who said that.
Yeah, no, but it's true, though.
Yeah.
That's one of the things of AEW that I don't really like.
It was a little messy. It was a little complicated. I think it would have been fine if, they what led up to that point was fine. Travis being there, okay, fine, whatever. You have the go F yourself, go fuck yourself. Then you have the moment where Cena turns on Rock or turns on Cody, goes heel, first time in 20 some odd years, and then you go from there and just a little bit of a beatdown and then walk out the ring. That's all you need to do. It got overcomplicated.
Got very overcomplicated because I think they wanted to really drive home the point that John Cena is now a heel.
Oh, yeah.
In the post press conference, The Rock was very cheerful.
Yeah, he was.
As he was addressing the reporters in the room.
Cena dropped the mic and left.
Just dropped the mic and left, which is a smart move to do.
That's all you needed to say.
And then we go to Monday Night Raw, where the ramifications are still there. And obviously, we alluded to about one CM Punk, who had the moment of the night with...
Promo of the year thus far.
Yeah, he dropped a pipe bomb light, I guess I would say. Yeah. Where he went after everybody from The Rock to Cena to Seth Rollins, mentioned Becky Lynch. Like,
come get your man, because if I get to him first, I'm going to put him in a wheelchair.
Yeah, so they're now really getting into shape about WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And, I mean, obviously, this moment of Cena going heel went viral everywhere.
What do they say, like 500 million views in like the first 24 hours or something crazy?
Well, you have to think about the crossover appeal that John Cena had.
Oh, yeah.
He is a Hollywood star.
There were videos of kids literally crying.
Well,
which I get.
That aspect, he literally has set the all-time record for Make-A-Wish appearances.
And it's not even close. It's like he's like 600 something.
Oh, it's
by himself.
It's incredible. It's an incredible feat.
Yeah.
So the fact that he's gone this way in character, I think really threw the pop culture audience for a loop. The wrestling fans, I think, were more accepting of this because, like we alluded to on the show last week, if you're going to do something with Cena, this is the way to do it. You have to give him something fresh to come back for if it's the final year. And if he comes back and is a heel the entire year, in which I think we were both in unison on, he's going to beat Cody Rhodes for the world title at Mania.
Oh, guaranteed.
So that's a lock. You're going to have him be a long heel champion for the remainder of the year. And he'll get his redemption arc at some point.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, before he leaves.
That's the whole appeal with Cody as a babyface. It's about the chase.
Yeah. So whoever will be the next person to step up and get the belt from him, I don't know. But that's where we can kind of speculate. I mean, there are a couple names we can throw around.
Sure.
I mean, obviously, Roman Reigns is in the mix.
Yeah, the first time in how many years that Roman's not currently in the plans for WrestleMania? He'll be there. He'll be in a match or involved in some capacity, but this is the first time in a couple of years we don't know what he's going to be doing.
Right. He is obviously on a very short list of immediate opponents.
Yeah.
CM Punk is there.
Oh, absolutely.
Which I think they're going to set up quite nicely following Money in the Bank. My early theory is Roman wins, and this is where he cashes in the favor with Paul Heyman.
I like that idea.
So I think that's going to happen. Or even a long shot, depending on how his match goes against Gunther at Mania, as Jey Uso.
Could be.
Because if you really want to make a star-making performance, if he is the one to take down the legendary John Cena on this title run, that would be selling something. That would be going some places. That would really establish him on a whole different level than he is right now, because he has that very organic push from the fans. But if you can say, if for whatever reason he doesn't beat Gunther,
right?
If he's the one to take out John Cena on this reign of terror, that's
It's a heck of a feather.
It's a moment. It's an absolute crazy moment.
Feather in the cap.
So, like we say, there's a lot of moving parts going on.
Yeah.
With this, but I mean, with The Rock now in establishing his own NWO corporation, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
We still are trying to speculate who could be the third person. I mean, I'm not even doubting we get somebody from NXT we're not thinking about.
Could be. Could put in a call to a certain general manager at NXT.
Oh yeah, I mean
he's very familiar with.
Well, if you want to think about really
spoiler alert,
somebody,
spoiler alert, if you don't know, the GM at NXT is his daughter.
Right. So if you want to try doing something like that, you could.
Yeah.
Because I could see maybe that'd be a great way to bring Trick Williams up to the main roster as a complete curveball from what people see.
Borrow Obafemi for a night.
Well, no, because I think they would be a full call up.
Oh, okay.
I think, because if you wanted to try doing the enforcer role, you get Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
Or if depending on what Bronson Reed's status is, if you really want to go that route.
Still out for a while, if I remember.
Right. So I don't think they go right away.
No.
I think they'll tease it just enough. That we'll keep our eyes on it. But they've now injected some new life into this Cena's last run. Now it's only a matter of time before he gets the world title, and then where do we go from here?
I think he's going to have it for a while. This isn't going to be a hot potato, hop, skip, and a jump, and by SummerSlam he's dropping the belt.
Yeah, I think he keeps it through SummerSlam. I think he drops it at Survivor Series.
I think so.
That is my early prediction on that. But to who?
Yeah, we'll find out.
That's literally anybody's guess. That being said, we gave you a lot of pro wrestling to think about, so hit us up on the hashtag ODPH pod. John Cena is now a heel. The Elimination Chamber fallout has kind of put some pieces in motion for WrestleMania. Monday Night Raw this past week definitely stirred up some online reactions as well, and it's only going to carry over to the next show at Madison Square Garden. We still haven't even talked about what's going to go down at SmackDown this week. There's a lot of things to get excited for in the world of pro wrestling, so definitely hit us up. Let us know if you're looking for more pro wrestling content. Every Thursday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Nerd Initiative YouTube is Wrestling Night Live. That all said, we're going to get a quick break. We'll be right back.
Do you like comic books?
What about movies and TV shows?
Well, we may be the show for you.
We're Hops Geek News, a weekly podcast that discusses comics, movies, and TV shows while featuring a beer of the week.
Every week we chat about what we messed up on the week before, and then we dive into what we're reading and watching, as well as some news.
We then wrap it up with a geek-themed topic of the week.
You can find us anywhere you listen to podcasts by searching Hops Geek News.
Cheers.
The content you are listening to is part of the Nerd Initiative Podcast Network. For more info about the home of pop culture positivity, check out nerdinitiative.com.
Coming back for another segment on this fusion edition of the ODPH podcast. And this week we got some UFC to talk about.
Yeah, we do.
So, Pat, let's break down what's going on this weekend.
Taking place this Saturday. Check your local listings and what time it's taking place in your area. But from the T-Mobile Arena in wonderful Las Vegas, Nevada, UFC 313.
Yes, so a solid co-main and main event on a very stacked card. I mean, really not a lot of storylines per se, but the two big shows there, or big matches, I should say, are going to show out and show up. So let us break down what we think of this card, Pat.
Yeah, so the co-main event of this card is in the lightweight division with Justin Gaethje taking on Rafael Fiziev.
So this one was originally supposed to be Dan Hooker, which I'm very sad that we're not going to see because that would have been absolutely just violence incorporated.
Oh, Lord.
Justin Gaethje, what can you say about him? He is literally a walking rock'em sock'em robot. And Fiziev is, stepping in on that short notice, which, I mean, I love seeing fighters do this.
Yeah.
And granted, if Fiziev could pull off the win, that would shoot him up the rankings in a very stacked lightweight division.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of keep this in perspective, though. I believe it's going to be only a 3-round fight instead of 5.
Probably.
So we want to keep that in mind, but I know that they'll go swinging for the fences. And I think this is a very dangerous fight for both, to be honest with you. More so Gaethje.
So looking at the rankings, you've got obviously Makachev is the champion of the lightweight division. Gaethje is the number 3 ranked fighter. He, as you alluded to, he was supposed to fight Hooker, who is the number 6. But stepping in, Rafael Fiziev, who is number 11. Looking at the two gentlemen's records, you've got Justin Gaethje in 30 professional matches, record of 25 wins, 5 losses. Currently on a 1-fight losing streak, lost to Max Holloway in his last fight. That was at UFC 300 back in April of last year. Prior to that, was on a 2-fight win streak, beating Dustin Poirier with a head kick knockout back at UFC 291. And then beat Rafael Fiziev by majority decision at UFC 286. Both of those were back in 2023. Then you got Rafael Fiziev, who in 15 professional matches has a record of 12 wins, 3 losses. Currently on a 2-fight losing streak. Lost to Matsuts Gamrot with a TKO knee injury back at a UFC Fight Night. That was in September of 2023. So this is his first fight in over a year.
Yeah.
And then, as I alluded to, he had the majority decision loss to Justin Gaethje at UFC 286 in 2023. His last win was against Rafael Dos Anjos, who he knocked out at a UFC on ESPN card in July of 2022. No disrespect to Rafael Fiziev, but it ain't looking good.
It's not looking good because obviously since that decision fight, Gaethje has been on the cusp of getting the championship. Albeit, though, when you dip away to go step for the quote-unquote BMF title, that came back to haunt him in the worst possible way. Which, listen, I'm never going to fault him for going to take a fight. I will not do that because he wanted to entertain the fans. And obviously trying to get a title shot against Machaev is like that was going to be a very, very tough pill to do.
Yeah.
So to get there, and especially it was going his route until he decided to stay in that pocket and face Max Holloway, who caught him with a insane hook at the last second of the fight in the 5th round.
Yeah.
You know, like, what are you going to do? Like, in that situation, you're kind of stuck no matter what you want to try.
Pretty much.
But in this situation, this is more dangerous for Gaethje because obviously he's gearing up for Hooker. It would have been a top 5 fight. Now you have to win. I hate saying this, but you almost have to win in decisive fashion.
Yeah, I mean, because I don't think just a simple, you got the unanimous decision win is going to be enough. I mean, you're fighting them. And again, I'm not trying to shit on Rafael Fiziev here. He's the number 11 ranked fighter. He's coming in on short notice. He hasn't fought in over a year, so like you're expected to win this fight if you're Gaethje. So no, I agree with you. Like I feel like if it's just hey, you got the majority, you got the unanimous decision win, like okay, great, doesn't really improve your stock at all.
Yeah, that's all the thing. So I mean, for Gaethje, there's a lot more pressure on. I mean, Fiziev, he needs this win, I think, really badly because if you're going to be taking consideration for breaking in that top 5, and the lightweight division is so deep, like that's the problem. You need to really have an amazing performance. Now, it's tough to catch lightning in a bottle twice.
Yeah.
Sure, you had a decision win the first go-round, but that was a long time ago, especially if you want to talk about in fighter years.
Yeah, no kidding.
So this is a little more risky for him to do in the sense that if it doesn't pan out for whatever reason, like let's say it was a first-round knockout,
sure,
he's going to really have to work his way back into that division.
Yeah, I would say so.
But I think unfortunately that's where I'm going with my call. I think Gaethje takes him out in the second.
I'm going to say second as well. Again, nothing against Fiziev. You're coming off injury. You haven't fought in over a year. It ain't looking good.
No, but I think Gaethje knows the importance of this.
Yeah.
So if he's going to ever get near a title shot again, he needs to show up for this.
And then you've got the main event, which is for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship with Alex Pereira defending his belt against Magomed Ankalaev.
So this one, I mean, you have arguably the UFC's biggest star right now. Alex Pereira, whose Hall of Fame-esque trajectory, if you will, thinking of all the accomplishments he's done in a short amount of time, is astonishing. He has that Donald Cerrone fight anybody, anytime, any place, anywhere kind of vibe, I guess, to put it mildly. So to see him now defend his belt against Magnev, who is the number 1 contender for the light heavyweight title, makes a lot of sense. Listen, I'm going to say, well, let's break down the card or the records, I should say.
So we'll go with the challenger. Ankalaev in 22 professional matches has a record of 19 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, and 1 no contest. currently on a 2-fight winning streak. Beat Alexander Rakic via unanimous decision at UFC 308 last year. Beat Johnny Walker via knockout at a UFC Fight Night in January of the last year. Then you get the first no contest, which was an illegal knee. That was the fight against Johnny Walker at UFC 294 back in 2023. Then you get the draw, which was a split draw with Jan Blachowicz at UFC 282 back in 2022. Then you go on that, and his one and only loss was to Paul Craig at his UFC debut, which was on a UFC Fight Night on March 17th, 2018. He lost via triangle choke submission. Has not lost a single thing since. I can draw, no kind of whatever. It ain't in the loss column.
Yeah.
Then you go to the champion, who is, of course, Pereira. 14 professional matches, 12 wins, 2 losses. Currently on a 5-fight winning streak. Beat Jan Blachowicz via split decision. Beat Jiri Prochazka via TKO. Beat Jamal Hall-Hill with a knockout. Beat Jiri Prochazka again with a TKO. And then his last fight was against Khalil Rountree Jr. at UFC 307 last year, where he knocked him out too. One of his 2 losses and his most recent loss was to, and again, this ain't a bad loss, Israel Adesanya. Adesanya knocked him out at UFC 287 back in April of 2023. Want to point one thing out, though. Real interesting thing I noticed here. Pereira made his light heavyweight debut against Jan Blachowicz at UFC 291 in 2023. Dude is undefeated in the light heavyweight division.
Mm-hmm.
Just something to keep in mind.
It's a lot better weight class for him, I think.
Oh, yeah.
The thing about Pereira is, I don't want to say he's a one-trick pony.
Sure.
This ain't going to the ground.
Oh, God, no.
I will already put it out there right now.
God, no.
He's going to want to keep this standing.
Pereira wins by submission. 0.
I would say I'll give it a 5% chance. There's always a chance.
Ankalaev wins by submission. 0.
Yeah. This one's going to be a lot of striking going on.
Yeah, it is.
And it's hard to go against Pereira right now. I mean, that's the only thing. Magnov is going to give him enough of a problem.
Yeah.
This is, like I say, looking at the betting lines of UFC.com, Pereira's a -112, Magnov's go a -108.
Okay.
So it's almost an even split.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they're giving all the respect in the world to Magnov. So, that's a good thing to do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's hard to go against Pereira because anytime that you think you have him, so to speak, he's going to wind up making this very, very dirty. He's going to wind up, making this a very uncomfortable situation.
Yeah.
He's going to go out there trying to take his head off.
Yeah.
And it's hard to go against him. Like, I don't think this is going to decision. I would be very shocked. But I think, though, we could see this ended in the 3rd round. And if I have to really go on my gut on this, I think I like Pereira just a little more in this.
Uh-huh.
I think he's going to win by a head kick knockout.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to be some sort of knockout. I don't know what. Head kick, punch, whatever. This is not going on the ground. So if you would prefer a technical submission-based fight, sorry, this ain't going to be the fight for you. If you like Rock'em Sock'em Robots, this is probably going to be the fight for you. But no, I think it's absolutely going to be Pereira. It's going to be, I'm going to say 3rd round, some sort of knockout.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't think this is going real deep water.
No, God, no.
And then you have to think after that, who's next? And that's where things are going to get a little crazy in that lightweight division. Heavyweight, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. There's always talk about super fights.
Sure.
That might be coming up in consideration.
I mean, especially if you consider, okay, let's just go on the theory Pereira retains. Okay, well, he would have just beaten the number 1 ranked fighter. He's already beaten number 2, who's Prochazka. He's beaten number 3, who's Blachowicz. Beat number 4, who's Jamal Hall-Hill. He's beat number 5, who's Rakic. So what the hell do you do? That's
the thing. You've cleaned out that division, and I don't think they're going to have him go up to heavyweight. I know there was some talk of that for a super fight.
It got floated.
Well, I mean, you have to think of what's going on with John Jones, and is he ever going to fight again?
Nope.
What do you do there? Would you try making Aspinall versus Pereira? I know that sounds crazy. That sounds crazy to me.
Oh, to me too.
So I don't know necessarily what you do. I mean, would Pereira drop down to middleweight for a super fight against DDP? Listen, anything is really possible there, but I think I would say more so somebody would step up in that division.
Could be.
It just depends on who. I don't. The only one I'm looking at who's coming from the middleweight to go up, and Adesanya won't. Adesanya, no, he looked awful because he didn't put on the weight to come down.
Yeah, that's also true.
Yeah. I mean, could I see maybe a Sean Strickland? Maybe.
Yeah.
But you're that's I don't know. Like I say, if I put percentages on it, say 20% maybe.
Yeah.
Right now,
Whitaker maybe.
Whitaker's always been around that 185 range. I don't think he'd do well up at 205. I could be wrong though. Chimaev, I mean, who knows? He's tagged with everybody.
Yeah.
So if he's healthy, maybe. Like I said, I'll be honest, I have not heard the latest with him. So
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see. But like I say, for the UFC, they're going to have to really make some choices. And I don't necessarily know where we go after here. So unless you have an upset win, but still, with Pereira being your biggest star, you have to get him a real box office opponent. I don't know if Magnovev is the one per se,
Right.
but it's going to be a hell of a fight, and it's going to be just nothing but throwdown. So I'm expecting something big to come out of this. Like I say, but as for who, I don't know. Unless, like I say, Pereira is not exactly doubting going to heavyweight.
No.
And if you really want to do something crazy, depending on how everybody's physically doing, if you want to do for International Fight Week, him and Aspinall would be wild.
Could see it.
Could see it. But there's going to be, like I say, a lot of headlines coming out of UFC 313. Very solid card up top to bottom. So
Absolutely.
if you're looking to check it out this weekend, obviously it's well worth the time. And we'll be recapping what we thought of the card next week. But in the meantime, hit us up on this hashtag ODPH pod. Give us your predictions for UFC 313. We want to hear where you're thinking everybody's going to win, and then where do they go after that? We want to hear your thoughts. Hit us up. Let us know. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back.
You ever wondered what comics Mark from Vale is into? What Zach from Left Behind's favorite MCU movies are? Well, Metalcore Nerds is the show for you. My name is Sean Mott, and here at Metalcore Nerds, we cover the latest things in pop culture, whether it be Star Wars, Marvel, DC, AEW, and everything else in between. You can listen to the show every Monday on Adobe Howl at 7 p.m. Eastern, or find it anywhere you find podcasts after it debuts on the radio station.
Coming back for another segment of this edition of the ODPH podcast. And we have, speaking of wrestling, we have a hot tag running.
Yeah, we do.
Somebody just came running in the studio.
Jumping in, coming at you live and direct, straight off the top rope. My name's Off the Cuff Tom, the pop culture connoisseur. Thank you, ODPH, for having me yet again.
Yes, indeed, because as we were recording this, it's only a couple moments away from Turn a Page every Tuesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Nerd Initiative YouTube. And we are going to be talking about an event that has taken over pop culture. Obviously, the wait is over for MCU fans and Netflix fans, because we finally have Matt Murdock and the rest of the gang from Hell's Kitchen crashing into the Marvel Cinematic Universe via Disney Plus on Daredevil Born Again.
Returning after 7 years.
It's been a long time. I was going to say 7 years. Holy smokes. But the show led by Charlie Cox playing Matt Murdock, Vincent D'Onofrio playing Wilson Fisk, a.k.a. the Kingpin, and their cast of characters bringing the gritty side of New York City to life and bringing a whole new thought process of a vigilante to the small screen. Definitely won fans over when they were on Netflix, and then, like you alluded to, it's been a 7-year break since they've made that transition from Netflix, now officially back in the MCU to the way we like it. So, that said, Pad, we got a little breakdown about what's going to be going on.
Yeah, so of course, this is return to form, I guess you could say. It is a continuation of the Netflix series you know and love. How much they reference, how much they're going to get into it, because that was 3 seasons, plus you got to factor in all the Defender stuff they did. I don't anticipate we're going to get like full continuations of story plot lines, but I expect some of that will cross over and continue over. We did, of course, see a little bit of the Born Again story from season 3 on the Netflix series. Maybe it's a rehash, maybe it's a continuation. I don't know, but I'm expecting a lot of good things. Heard a lot of good stuff from some of the folks who were fortunate enough to get early reviews and early screeners that it is very violent. They don't really pull any punches on this, and I cannot wait.
Tom, what's your thoughts? I know that Marvel is really not your forte, so to speak, but obviously you're a fan of what they're doing here.
So I'm a big fan of all the stuff that's obviously on the TV, and I can't believe it's been 7 years. It literally feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
And especially, after counting the cameo and Spider-Man, because he's a really, really good lawyer. I'm really looking forward to this. I know that when a lot of the stuff on the Netflix and Defender stuff was heading out, I don't believe I even finished Punisher.
Right.
I did come back for Hawkeye, so obviously I'm all up on what's going on with the Kingpin. I'm just happy to have it back. I love Matt Murdock as a character, and it was so, why did Netflix screw it up? But I'm glad that Marvel and Disney are getting it back.
It wasn't really up to them, because you have to remember at this time, and this is going to sound really wild, when they all left Netflix, is because Disney Plus was coming into play.
Was just
Yep.
starting.
And you have to think about how long Disney Plus has been around for now, which
Yeah.
is really crazy to think.
Yeah.
So when all these streaming shows were on separate networks and now are starting to come back home to the unified vision of Marvel Television, Marvel Studios, it really was a big point with how well this show did that the fans really wanted to keep this going. And that's why they had the Save Daredevil campaign that really did the positive way about keeping a show alive and keeping it fresh on in the audience's mind of pop culture. And especially with the acting job that was done here, because like you alluded to, Daredevil is a very compelling character.
Very much.
And if you think about the comic side of things for, honestly, since like the late 90s to now, more so like obviously with Frank Miller doing the legendary run in the 80s and such, you think about when Daredevil has had such great writers and artists do work on it. And it was at one point, and I mean, it's a very arguable debate. It was Marvel's best book for, the past 20 years.
Yeah.
With all the talent that's come through there. And even the current run that's happening now. It's like you have the bar set so high that the fans demand it to be perfect. And when it got translated to the show, it was a lot of the Frank Miller vibe that carried through, and that's what wins fans over because of how conflicted Murdock is as a character and how he has to deal with his own conscience, and then with Wilson Fisk and the true antagonist to him. And then the other elements that you have in play, such as one Bullseye, who has always been the thorn in his side, which Wilson Benthal is coming back in that role. Like you alluded to, John Bernthal is back as the Punisher, Frank Castle, and the other characters at play that we don't know about per se. So that we're going to meet in the show. We do know, and this really isn't that much of a spoiler because based off the trailers, we do know they're introducing the character known as Muse, which is from the Charles Soule and Ron Garney run. And that's a whole different ball of wax.
Yeah.
Because, like I say,
To say
Daredevil's
the least.
Rogues Gallery is not that of Batman. Because I know there's some comparisons there, but the Rogues Gallery is not really up to that level.
No.
But for what we're going to get here, the early thoughts are going to be, it's going to be much like the Netflix vein, which it has to be. Because I know when there was a little cameo in She-Hulk, it was back to the swashbuckling era. The Stan Lee type vibe.
Yep.
That works, but unfortunately, since you've now given this to the pop culture audience, they demand, and rightfully so, the version they fell in love with. They want the gritty Matt Murdock. They don't want the superhero. They want the vigilante and everything that comes with him. And for what we saw in those 3 seasons, I think season 1 obviously is damn near perfect. Season 2 had its ups and downs. Season 3 was a return to form.
Agreed.
And especially how much they divulged into Bullseye's background. That was something too, because you think about the major antagonists of Daredevil's lives. This is where you get it. And now, after all this wait, to see how they're picking up, and I like how they're just basically no origin. We just go right into the business. That's what they need to do.
Now, here's my one question is, how many episodes is it going to be until we get the hallway fight?
Oh, Lord.
One.
I'm going to say probably the end of episode 1.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll get that very shortly, because I mean that's one thing that they did very, very well.
So good.
You want to know a wild story I heard the other day? We almost didn't get the Daredevil Netflix series. Of course, we all know how the deals between Fox and Marvel worked out, that you got to make a movie every so often. It had been a number of years since Fox had done a Daredevil movie, so the rights were getting ready to revert back to Disney. Allegedly, reportedly, Disney went to Fox and said, hey, you know what? All's fine. We'll give you an extension on those rights, but we get, I believe it was Galactus and Silver Surfer back.
Yeah.
Fox turned around and said, nah, we're good. You get Daredevil. So you know what they turned around and made instead? Fox turned around and made instead? 2015 Fantastic Four movie.
Okay, hold on. Now, as much as, and I actually brought this up in conversation this week, as panned as that movie was, it did one thing for me, and this is a personal note. Okay. As Ken has the doubting Tom look on his face.
Yes.
Okay. The one big thing that I did not approve of going into that film specifically was the fact that they changed Johnny Storm.
Sure.
Okay. And this is where my mindset was years ago as a comic book reader. And what changed me is how they wrote the story, just for that. made me open my eyes up to. And, hearing Stan Lee say, anybody can be behind the mask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Put those two things together, and my whole perspective on comics was changed on who can, changing things. I even had this conversation with one of our friends over on Nerd Initiative this past week about a recasting of something. But, that's
anybody.
that's the only good thing that came out of the movie.
Anybody can play anybody. It just depends on the performance.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that you have here. And I like how you brought up about the Stan Lee thing.
Yeah.
So obviously, my whole thing is as long as if the writing follows the source material.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least you don't have to follow it to the letter.
Sure.
Right.
Because as we'll be discussing on Turn the Page, there's certain things in the Muse story you can't do here in the MCU for various reasons.
Sure.
Because I don't think, we're going to hear the word Inhumans mentioned.
I was ready to pun that so bad.
Yeah. Like I say, but we'll discuss that on the show. But I think as long as you follow the essence of where they're going, and you can capture those characters, like I say, and the one thing that Marvel's been so smart about the show is the casting. That everybody they've brought in has really brought their A game and then some.
I'm just glad if they decide to reference anything that's happened in the mainline MCU, they'll be able to call it something other than the incident.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Do you remember the incident?
I think if anything, we're just going to hear a reference about the blip.
Thank
I think
you.
That,
I think that's going to be big.
Yeah. But I think after that, though, it's not going to be much because, like I say, you have a lot of the same returning cast going. And the only thing that we know is Deborah Ann Woll is back as Karen Page. Eldon Henson is back as Foggy Nelson.
Yep.
So you have that core nucleus there. Now, however long they're going to be staying, that's a whole different ball of wax.
A lot of rumors.
Because we do know this series is split up into 2 seasons.
Yep.
9 episodes for the first season.
I think it's 10 for season.
Then I believe it's 10 too. And I know that I've heard a lot of things for online chatter about the dreaded rewrites and all that, which I'm just going to kind of tie this in with something else that went down this weekend. We had those quote unquote leaks come out for the MCU.
Oh yeah.
And one thing I will just bestow on you, the ODPH Society, is pump the brakes when you hear or see stuff like this. Because there's a lot of stuff that is out there that is just, in my opinion, clickbait to sway you one way or another. Be smart about what you're checking. Take a look at how web addresses are. Take a look at where you're getting your information from. If it's not a verified source from Marvel, I would take anything with a grain of salt.
Yep.
Agreed.
Because of how protective they are of their stuff.
Yep.
Because what we're going to see eventually in the next phase of the MCU is going to be completely different than what might have popped up online. And sure, there's some similarities, but it's not that hard to go off if you read a comic.
No.
You can kind of piece one and one together because we do know what they're doing. But I'm just doing my soapbox stance on this is pump the brakes. We all are excited as fans. But if something is leaked and ruined, is it still going to have that impact for you when you're in the theater watching? No. And just be careful of where you're clicking and where you're going for it. Because there's a lot of rumors that are out there. And there's a lot of stuff that is just going to sway you and make your experience not as good as it should be. So take that into consideration because I know that that's something that came up this past weekend. And we already know that those same kind of vibes were with Captain America Brave New World.
Yep.
Hearing about rewrites definitely had fans on edge.
Sure.
Involving this show because it's so sacred to the fan base that has been with it since Netflix. I think from what we've seen thus far, I think their fears can be put to rest a little bit until we start diving into it.
And who knows if those rewrites actually helped right the ship. They were going one way and they came back to middle. I mean, so chill.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. You just have to really pump brakes and just be fans. Like I understand we all like breaking stuff on the internet. Like sure, if you're always somebody that can drop a scoop, great. But at what cost? And then let alone if you're wrong. I mean, this is just something just for any content creators out there that listen. You just really need to know your audience and know where you're steering the narrative. And for us, we've always just cut it right down the middle, as we borrow the phrase from Rich on Wrestling Night Live, and just giving you like, hey, this is what it is, and you should just enjoy it for what it is. And from everything we've seen, though, 9 episodes is going to be really interesting to see how they put this all
sweet,
together.
to the point.
It's definitely going to hit their moments. Obviously, tonight's premiere, as we're recording, is 2 episodes back to back.
Yep.
and there's going to be a lot of stuff falling out from that.
Yeah.
So that being said, I'm going to throw it to you two, starting with Pad. We're just going to play like we do on ODPH, locks and leaps.
Okay.
What is one lock you're expecting from the season, and what is one leap you're expecting from the season?
Other than the obvious lock of there's gonna be a hallway fight scene.
Hey.
I feel like that's the easy one. I'm gonna say this lock will be somebody from the main core, not named Matthew Murdock, is going to die. I think one of them's not gonna make it out of there alive, just because hey, there's stakes involved with this. And the leap, I think Wilson Fisk will eventually, for storyline purposes, flee the country.
Okay. Tom?
Locke, we're going to deal with Karen during the blip.
Ooh.
Okay.
All right.
Okay? I mean, that is such a dynamic character to be lost and alone during the blip. That's my lock.
Yeah. Okay.
My leap. Heroes for Hire.
Ooh. Okay.
Oh, don't tease me. Don't. You know I have an affection for that book.
I know. Two can play this game.
Yes, very well played. Well, that was actually going to be my leap. That I think we are going to see some of, if not the entire Defenders roster in some capacity.
All right.
This season.
Okay.
No, not all in one episode, unless it's like a flashback.
Sure.
I think if we have to do like really narrow it down, Jessica Jones is going to be on the season.
Oh yeah.
That's my call. Like I say, that's
Could be wrong. Could be
This
right.
is why we're all allowed to have our opinion.
exactly. I think Jessica will be on the season at some, just in a brief moment. Not
Sure.
we're not talking like a whole episode or anything, but just a quick moment. As far as the rest of the cast, I think still up in the air.
I think Luke, they're going to hint to, maybe see him on TV, being whatever he's doing in this whole gang war kind of deal. That he's, the boss covering stuff for, what was it, Copperhead, was it?
Yeah, if they still want to go that route.
Yeah.
That's the only thing, depending on how much they want to bring over from Netflix.
Exactly.
So I will say, I'm going to say we're going to see Jessica Jones.
Okay.
So that's my leap. My lock is, I think Bullseye kills Karen Page in the first episode.
You need to go to hell.
I'm going to say this. I know you both gentlemen have not read the Kevin Smith, Joe Quesada, Guardian Devil storyline.
Nope.
Which is a fantastic one from '99. I'm going to say they're going to basically reenact the death sequence where Bullseye kills Karen
Oh boy.
in that first episode. Because I think the only thing that we've seen from Bullseye this season is he's led away in restraints. So obviously something had to get him there. And I think that they're going to do a homage to that storyline. Now, granted, if you have not read that story, I fully recommend you do. I think it's one of the most slept on Daredevil stories, in my opinion. But I think that that's what happens. I think Karen's the one who gets killed first episode. And then we kind of go maybe into that different direction about everything going on.
It hurts, man.
Yeah, well, I hope not. I love Deborah Ann Woll as an actress. I think she's fantastic. I just think for the character, though, because of depending on how comic accurate they want to start getting,
Right.
that's the only thing that's going to be a big X factor because she was killed off then. And she's, at least to my knowledge, hashtag ODPH pod, correct me if I'm wrong, she's stayed dead since. She's been dead since 99. So that said, if they want to go that route, I think that makes a lot of sense, especially if Matt's going to have a new love interest on the show, which they've already teased. I think that makes the most logical sense, even though I hate to see that character go away. I think it'd be better to pair her off with John Bernthal. I know kind of rewrite some stuff, but I think that would make a lot more sense to do. And plus, I think if you do kill off Karen, that's what brings Frank Castle to New York looking for who did it.
Oh, okay.
So that's my early prediction on this. So we'll see if I'm right. But there's, like I say, there's a lot of different ways they can go with it. We do know that there's a few actors that we don't know their roles for.
True.
Like Zoinks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Matthew Lillard.
Yeah, which, I mean, I'll throw it to the panel here. Where do you guys think he's going to be?
I have no idea.
I think just simply for the fact, and we've also talked about it in the bullpen, someone said Jester.
Yeah.
Was that you?
No, that was Megan.
That was Megan.
From
Megan said
Vigilante
Jester.
Vibes.
I think just for snits and giggles, D-Man. And don't make him D-Man. Don't make him Demolition Man. Just give him the name. That's it.
You could definitely do that. I'm gonna say he's Stiltman because I think that would be fun.
That's a tall leap.
That is definitely one. We do know that Michael Gandolfini is going to be playing Daniel Blake.
Mm-hmm. Listen, I need a Sopranos reference.
Well, you might get one in there.
Please.
You might get one. I'm actually hoping that we get teases of the owl.
Just offer him some gabagool.
Yeah, that's another
Gabagool.
that's another character from Daredevil's Rogues Gallery that I don't think gets a lot of love. Because like we say, there's a limited amount that you can do because obviously standing in the shadow of Wilson Fisk, you can only do so much. And obviously, they're now teasing a few things that happened, I believe, in the run with Chip Zdarsky and Marco Cicchetto, I believe was the artist, with Fisk taking over as mayor and outlawing vigilantes. So I think you're going to start seeing some teases of that.
Right.
But it all depends on how far they want to go with this. But that would be a way to do it. But I think, though, that's my early tease for what's going to happen first.
Yep.
But,
killed by Bullseye in Daredevil Volume 2, Number 5, March 10th, 1999.
Yeah. Yeah, like I say, that whole storyline, wild. Absolutely. But that was the debut of Marvel Knights. And that's, like I say, Kevin Smith came in, Joe Quesada, who, when you talk about that whole deal about Fantastic Four and Daredevil and the movie rights, Joe Quesada was EIC at Marvel at the time. So he was foaming at the mouth to get those, which I don't blame him. I would do too. Like, it was my favorite character. I'd be like all over getting back and really running too. So, like I say, he was amped up about that as he should be. So, like I say, but it's that kind of fan base that it draws out, and you get that kind of emotion. So, there's a lot of stuff that we can definitely be excited about.
Yeah.
So, we're going to be recapping every episode here on the ODPH moving forward. But I think we'll start with Tom. Final thoughts on what you're expecting from the show?
Don't be blind. Go watch it.
All right. Pad?
Expect fireworks, expect incredible fight scenes, and expect to get a little squeamish.
I think everybody can really expect this to be in the same vein as the Netflix show, which if you love that, I think you're going to really enjoy what we see here. Muse is going to be an interesting villain that might throw you off at first a lot, depending on how far they go with his character.
For Disney.
Yes, for Disney, yeah. Well, you have to remember, we're introducing a more mature villain for the Disney pop culture audience. There might be some friction involving that. We have to keep that in mind.
Yeah.
But I think as long as this is really devoted to Murdoch versus Fisk, Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio on screen together again, this is going to be nothing but a big bucket of win. Daredevil Born Again debuts March 4th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Disney+. Hit us up on that hashtag ODPHpod. What's your thoughts about Daredevil Born Again? Are you excited? What are you expecting this season? Give us your locks. Give us your leaps. Let's talk about it. We have one last break to get out, so we're going to take that. We'll be right back.
This is Tom from Tom Joe Lou,
This is Matt from Sideroom Sounds.
and you're listening to ODPH Podcast.
Wanna go where no one knows my name, to the desert, the oceans, or the plains. 'Cause I wanna go.
Coming back for the final segment on this edition of the ODPH podcast. Pad, what you got?
Couple things I got to talk about. First of which is obviously the local minute and looking at the standings for the Federal Prospects Hockey League and the Empire Division where our Binghamton Black Bears play. Still in first place. They obviously have the playoff spot clinched. Still in first place with a handy lead of 110 points. Danbury is in second place with 74 points. Watertown's in third with 69 points. Port Huron is in fourth with 64 points. Then you've got Fraser in fifth with 38 points. Poughkeepsie in sixth place with 29 points. And Danville in last place with only 6 points. Season to forget for those folks down in over in Danville. Looking at the schedule from this past week, the Black Bears had 2 games, both of which were at home against the Danville Dashers. They lost both of those games, or excuse me, the Black Bears won both of those games. Won the game on Friday. Final score 9-0. And then they won the game on Saturday by the final score of 7-1. This upcoming week, they are on a road trip this weekend. Friday, they are on the road playing in Wytheville, playing the Blue Ridge Bobcats. That game is at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Saturday, playing the same team, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And then Sunday, they are still in Virginia playing the Blue Ridge Bobcats. So that game is at 4:05 p.m. Eastern. They do return home, though, for a couple of games, one of which is against Danbury, the other one's against the Carolina Thunderbirds. Those games are February 14th and 15th. For more tickets, information, all that good stuff, binghamtonblackbears.com. Then we got to talk a little bit of sports because there has been a little bit of news in the NBA and also in the NFL. NBA, I think most of us would agree, the Luka Doncic trade is now the most cursed trade in NBA history.
Yes.
Simply because one of the pieces that got traded, Anthony Davis, who went from LA to Dallas, got his whole host of injuries and all that nonsense going on. Then you had the Dallas Mavericks decided to raise ticket prices for season ticket holders and regular ticket prices in the midst of all this. Oh, by the way, they're now down Kyrie Irving, who has torn his ACL and is out for the remainder of the season. Oh, by the way, did I mention they were at least in contention for the play-in tournament?
That's gone.
Yeah, so that's all over and done with. So, hey, Dallas Mavericks fans, at least you won the World Series with the Rangers? ... You ain't got much going for you down in Dallas. Sorry. Then in the NFL, Giants fans, how you feeling? Are you regretting letting Saquon walk to Philly yet?
Tom, you're going to be happy about this. I know you did not hear this.
So, according to Adam Schefter and various sources at ESPN, the Eagles have decided to reward Saquon Barkley with a 2-year, $41.2 million contract extension. Will make him the highest paid running back in NFL history.
Go Birds!
$36 million guaranteed at signing. He's the first running back to get more than $20 million a year, and he has the ability to earn an additional $15 million in incentives and escalators. John Morrow, when we reached for quote, had nothing to say.
Well, what are you going to say after that? But Tom, I'll let you go.
I mean, you guys were talking about the cap, recently. So, I mean, there it is right there.
Well, I mean, they cleared out some room, but obviously Saquon was worth every penny to say the least. I mean, he was in that MVP conversation, and without them, I mean, I don't know if they get the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Then we got to talk some entertainment news and announced today, or finally revealed today, like the worst kept secret in video gaming. That is the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 officially revealed.
Yes!
Got the release date that it's going to be dropping on, Xbox One, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 5, PlayStation 4, Nintendo Switch, Battle.net, and PC via Steam on July 11th, 2025. Going to be much in the same vein of the Pro Skater 1 and 2, modern graphics, familiar gameplay. This time it's being done by developer Iron Galaxy. They're, I guess, known for porting games and original releases. They did Rumbleverse and Killer Instinct. So, hey, finally coming. Long rumored. They had the website go up or change, I should say, and reveal that something's going to happen on 3/4/25. Well, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, 4. Well, there you go. I did play the last one. I did get that for free 1 month on PlayStation. I had fun with it, so I might check this.
It's
one out.
amazing.
Yeah.
It is one of the best video game franchises of all time.
Absolutely, have to agree. 1 and 2 is so much nostalgia, and that soundtrack.
Yeah, the soundtrack makes it.
I'm sorry, that absolutely rips. Now, I didn't play 4, but I had 1, 2, and 3 and played them religiously.
Yeah.
4 was solid. 4 was okay, but you start getting to that point, it's like the same thing, but it's always good though. It's always fresh. It's always, in that vein.
Then we got to talk a little bit about Pokemon news because Pokemon Day did take place this past week. Woo! Unfortunately, the rumors about the quote-unquote leaks of the classic games ended up not being true. Although, if I were a betting man, next year's their 30th anniversary.
Oh, we're going to talk here.
If there were ever a time where they're going to re-release the classic games, so, the original ones on Game Boy, the Game Boy Color ones, the Game Boy Advance, like all of the ones that were rumored, if you're ever going to do it, 30th anniverssie makes a lot of sense.
Oh, they're going to go heavy for that.
Just saying. This was 29. This was still a good reveal, but you know what? You're going to save some punch for the 30th. Some of the things they did reveal though that I thought were pretty interesting. We did get a release date for season 2 of Pokemon Concierge on Netflix.
A lovely show.
Yeah, if you haven't seen the show and you're even a mild Pokemon fan, you haven't played in a while, you haven't collected anything, well, give this a watch. It's a lot of fun. Releasing new episodes on Netflix September 2025. They did show a couple test footage shots of this. It looked good. It looked cute.
Shanks look awesome.
Yes. I watched the first season with my wife, who's a very big Pokemon fan. Love the hell out of it. It's a fantastic show, like I said. They also revealed a new game coming to the Nintendo Switch and mobile phones called Pokemon Champions. The easiest way I can describe this, have you ever played Pokemon Stadium? That's essentially what this looks like and feels, but for phones. and Nintendo Switch. Battle features, you're going to be able to bring in your Pokemon from Pokemon Home, so from Pokemon Go, some of the newer games, so you're not just restricted to just what you have on there, so that definitely looked interesting. Then they showed off a lot, obviously, with Pokemon Z-A, Z through A, however you say it.
It's Z Alpha.
Okay. Coming out later this year in 2025 for the Nintendo Switch, presumably the Nintendo Switch 2, since that's going to get revealed here any day now. But it is, they showed off the city it's taking place in. They showed off the starters, which are going to be Chikorita and Totodile from Gen 2.
And Tepig.
You're going to be able to start off there. I got to admit, this one looked a little different just because it doesn't look like you're going to be roaming around an entire region. As you're used to, it looks like you're kind of confined to the city, which is different. So I'm interested.
Yes.
So knowing the fact that XY never did get a third game as in Z, they're going to follow in the same thing in the Kalos region. The only difference is it's going to take place in one complete city. That's why it's ZA. And it follows the same beat of Legends Arceus. That's why this is a legend in the Legends line technically. That's why we have different starters. Actually at home, the only reason I'm excited is because this is the first time I get a starter. We always rotate our starters at home.
Sure.
So Mrs. Off the Cuff is actually going to get Tepig. I get Totodile, which I love Ash's Totodile, and our roommate starts off with Chikorita this time. So I'm really looking forward to it. The other thing is I didn't play X and Y, so I'm really interested to see how they're going to do the Mega Evolutions. On top of that, who are they going to add in? What specific things are they going to bring from the newer generations in? It's really neat. What's great about these Legends game is they are a litmus test for new play styles and techniques.
Yep.
Especially with this whole running and dodging now during battles.
Yeah, that was,
if it's the cartoon.
Yeah.
Mrs. is not happy.
Yeah, no, my wife was a little skeptical. She's like, because that's the thing. It's always been stationary. You don't move. This one at least introduced like a real world fight feel. We're like, hey, you can move around. So we'll see how it works out.
Yeah, I definitely have to talk to Samantha from our Nerd Initiative team about this.
Yeah. Then we got a book announced that I'm excited for. I still got to read the first one. For those of you who don't know, there was a sequel or a book released set in between Batman 1989 and Batman Returns. It came out last year, October 15th, written by John Jackson Miller, called Batman Resurrection. Where basically it explores the aftermath of the Joker's death and Bruce's obsessive need to protect Gotham City. He investigates a major mystery. The book did end up, spoiler alert, introducing Clayface and Hugo Strange. So I've heard nothing but good things about this book, and especially if you're a fan of the original 1989 film. Everyone I've heard talk about it says it's a fantastic sequel to the original film. There was a new book announced just the other day, March 3rd, in fact, titled Batman Revolution. And of course, if you've seen the cover, the I in Revolution is a green question mark. So this one obviously looks like it's going to be talking about the Riddler. The synopsis of the book is as follows, quote, "It's summer and Gotham City has a cause for celebration. The last vestiges of the Joker's toxic legacy have finally faded, just in time for the mayor to partner with retail magnate Max Schreck to stage a 4th of July celebration for the ages. But not everyone is rejoicing. Batman's eternal vigilance continues as threats from rival gangs and masked criminals escalate by the day. Meanwhile, on the streets, protests grow in opposition to the city's lavish excesses. No one is experiencing the struggle between Gotham's optimism and doubt more than Norman Pincus, the Gotham Globe's humble copyboy. He's the unacknowledged mastermind behind the newspaper's mega-popular Riddle Me This word puzzles. But Norman harbors a secret. He is the smartest man in Gotham, using his prodigious skills to solve crimes anonymously for years via the police tip line, before Batman even knows there's a crime to solve. While neither fame nor fortune finds Norman, he believes in the promise of Gotham and what's right, until he doesn't. The man no one notices watches time and again as the city and its leaders cast their eyes high above the rooftops toward Batman. Dejected and unappreciated, Norman devises a scheme. With the help of dangerous new friends, he exploits the simmering tensions of the long hot summer to draw the Caped Crusader into a volatile game of riddles to crown Gotham's true savior. As they clash, Norman, now known as the Riddler, and Batman will uncover hidden secrets about Gotham's past that will have dire consequences for the city's future. Close quote. Set to release October 28th, 2025. Of course, it is available for pre-order now. Hardcover is currently priced at $30.
I want to say I think that Norman, when he finally became Edward Nygma, I think that's when he changed his whole identity.
Okay.
But don't quote me on that. Like I want to say that name is ringing a bell for some reason.
Okay. But yeah, no. John Jackson Miller, I've read a couple of his stuff. He did a couple Star Wars books. Fantastic books, by the way. Especially the Kenobi book he did. It's under Legends now, so it's technically not canon, but you can see a lot of inspiration from that in the Obi-Wan series they did. Fantastic stuff. And like I said, I've heard nothing but good things about the previous novel, so I'm excited to read that and check this out.
No, definitely. I mean, Batman 89 still lives in a lot of fans' hearts. Still to this day, they consider it the greatest comic movie of all time. But, you know, like I say, if you can revisit that universe and it makes sense, go do it.
Yeah.
That's what we say about that. So, obviously, there's a lot of stuff going on at the comic shops this week. So, we are going to kind of give you a little preview. We can't give you our full reviews because if you want to find out about that, nerdinitiative.com, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. So, Pad, what are you picking up this week?
So I'm going to recommend the two things I am reviewing for Nerd Initiative this week. The first one is issue number 1 from the folks over at Marvel. It is Star Wars Jedi Knights, written by some dude named Mark Guggenheim, if you've ever heard of him. If you haven't, he kind of created the whole Arrowverse on CW. You know, Arrow, Flash, Batwoman, Supergirl, Legends of Tomorrow, you know, that whole thing. He is the writer on this. You've got Madabek Muzabekov is the artist. I believe this, and I could be wrong. I got to go back through and I got to check my tweets. I believe this is the one they unveiled at New York Comic Con this past year, which I was in the panel for. And the cover, if you're a Star Wars fan, is fantastic. Description of this one is the first issue in the prequel era. It begins here. Marvel's first series focusing on the Guardians of Peace and Justice in the Galaxy. The Jedi Knights, featuring your favorite Jedi like Qui-Gon Jinn, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Yoda, and Mace Windu, alongside brand new Jedi sure to become fan favorites. And who is the mysterious new villain targeting Qui-Gon Jinn? So definitely want to give that one a check out if you're a Star Wars fan. It's a lot of fun, especially if you grew up on the prequel films. A lot of fun. The other one, I'm going to say it right now, Marvel's biggest issue at the shops this week. If you're not picking this one up, do yourself a favor, pick this one up. Ultimates issue number 10 from Dennis Camp. Namor and the Red Skull. Captain America and the Human Torch lead a team to recruit their old comrade, Namor, but they'll have to get through the Red Skull gang first. This issue is going to have a lot of people talking. This issue is going to be absolutely nuts, and you're going to want to read it.
Dennis Camp is making a very, very big claim to be comics best writer right now.
He's in my lead right now.
I would say between what he has with the Ultimates, I know there's a ton of buzz for Absolute Martian Manhunter.
I've heard that, yeah.
And he has a monster book coming out to Image Comics, I believe next week.
Ooh.
That is going to have some people talking. And if you haven't checked this stuff out, I highly recommend it. Everything I've read by Dennis is very, very thought out, very well layered.
Oh, yeah.
It's very intense. Like I say,
I'll be honest, I was on when they announced this whole Ultimate universe coming back, reboot, whatever you want to say. I was kind of like, I loved the original run back in the early 2000s so much. Loved Ultimate Spider-Man. I love bits and pieces of the Ultimate X-Men. But the Ultimates line, I was kind of more miss than hit for me. So when this started, I was very on the fence, like, I don't know how this is going to be. I didn't like the first run of it, but I gave this one a shot. Some of the best writing I've ever seen, especially with Dennis Camp doing Ultimates, and just some of the stuff he's done and some of the places and he's gone. Hulk Island, need I say more? If you've read the issue, you know. Good Lord. It's fantastic writing, and I like how they're not really holding him back and just letting him go crazy.
Yeah, I mean, Assorted Crisis Events. That's the one that is coming out on March 12th. Okay. And that's going to have a lot of hype behind it. So, busy week for Image Comics then. Tom, how about you? What do you got?
So I jumped back in the Wayback Machine all the way back to 1990, and from Dynamite Comics, we're going to be covering Darkwing Duck number 1.
Ooh.
So I am the terror that flaps in the night. I am the comic book reviewer that absolutely loves to review comics. I am Off the Cuff Tom. But either from that, that's going to be written by Daniel Kibblesmith, who we did happen to have on Turn a Page. You can go check that out on the YouTube. It is fun. It is pure, genuine fun, and I'm going to leave it at that. And then going even further back in the Wayback Machine, back to the 60s, Herculoids is finally coming out from our friend Tom Sinizgowski. So we're going to be able to see that and see all the fantastic stuff. So we're keeping it close to home. We're going out into space. I highly recommend check out Nerd Initiative because nobody does comic book reviews like Nerd Initiative. No one.
Absolutely. For me, I got a loaded lineup from DC Comics this week. There's a book that it's definitely building for something.
Okay.
And that's Justice League: The Atom Project.
Ooh.
So John Ridley, Ryan Parrott are co-writing it. Mike Perkins on the art. Story about how Ryan Choi and Ray Palmer are trying to reverse. Absolute Power was a lot of things that happened.
Yeah.
And one of which is Amanda Waller displaced a lot of the superhero powers.
Okay.
So right now, those two are trying to work on a way about getting the powers back to the correct people.
Okay.
And it's not as easy as one would think.
Sure.
And there's a lot of setup going on
Sure.
here and involving one character in particular.
Okay.
So this is one that if you want to get a little more layer about the DC universe, this is going to be one that you really want to keep an eye on for.
Okay.
The other one that is coming out this week is another one that is very, very heavily tied into Absolute Power Fallout.
Oh.
And that is Secret Six. So now you might know of this group because it's been around for quite some time in the DC universe.
Right.
But this is written by Nicole Maines, and Stefan Sevigoya is on the art. And this is a team that is comprised of Dreamer, John Kent, Jay Nakamura, Catman, Black Alice, and Deadshot. That is who's on the cover. So if you really want to keep an eye on where this is going, and obviously if you know about what happened in the events of Absolute Power, especially involving Jay and John Kent and Dreamer, especially, like those three, this is going to be one you really want to follow up on. And I will say, I loved Absolute Power. I thought it was one of the best events DC's done in quite some time. And especially now seeing the ending and how it's still trickling into its effect, albeit with the Ultimate or the Absolute Universe going on too, they're still devoting a lot of energy to the storyline, which I think only helps stories like this because it's not just a throwaway event.
Right.
Like I always hate using that term for throwaway event because I feel like when you do an event, you should have some kind of lasting effect. The two books now that we have coming out at least are directly connected with Absolute Power.
Yeah, it's like when they came out of New 52, and we
Yeah.
really didn't have anything. It's like,
Right.
oh, that was there, that was then, this is now.
Yeah.
So
Right.
to see the long-lasting effect, beautiful.
Yeah, and like I say, I like the lineup that it's poised because you have some classic Secret Six with Black Alice, Deadshot, and Catman, and then the new characters injected too. And like I say, how this is all going to mesh, we're going to definitely be talking about that next week. Last for DC is JSA number 5. So I mean, it's what can I say? It's the classic lineup. They've definitely done a lot of cool things with this book to juggle around a very big cast. Like that's the one thing. But if you like your vintage stories, superhero storytelling, this is right up the alley. Last for me though is Arcbound number 4. So this is the sci-fi epic that Tom Hardy, yes, that Tom Hardy, is connected with Scott Snyder, Frank Thierry, and Ryan Smallman. So this is a definitely over-the-top sci-fi adventure going on. Not afraid to pull some punches. If you really like a very cool action, I don't want to say Star Wars-esque because it's really not.
Right.
But this is very intense, very violent, very intricate about how they're trying to do the story about who is going to control the biggest energy source amongst this global conglomerate, so to speak. Like I say, it's a very cool sci-fi story, and there's a lot of moving parts. But this is one definitely keep your eye out for. If you haven't checked this out, this is one you really want to keep an eye out for. And like Tom alluded to, nobody does New Comic Book Day quite like Nerd Initiative. I want to say we're at least 30 reviews this week.
Yep.
I want to say. But, we just do that on an average week because we have a lot to talk about in the land of comics. That's why we always say go to the comic shops. Make sure you go support your small-time shops. Go hit the books. Let the creators know what you think. Let's start building up that community because obviously, like we say, there's nothing like walking into a new shop or into New Comic Book Day on a shop on a Wednesday. Like, seriously, there's nothing like it. And Nerd Initiative will tell you where to go and what to pick up. That's what we do here. So that being said, Tom, thanks for crashing the show. I know Play for Keeps has got a lot of things going on, so I'll let you get a quick plug in what's going on Monday nights.
That's right. So this whole month of March, we are doing Masters of the Universe March Madness. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Every single Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are breaking down different aspects of the He-Man and the Masters Universe, chronology as it is. This first week, we did the original series. We're following up next week with the Snake Men toy line, the New Adventures, and of course, the Dolph Lundgren movie. We've got She-Ra week. We've got the 2002, and we also have a very special guest finishing off March 31st coming in to talk about Masters of the Universe, Revelation and Revolution.
I have a sinking suspicion I know who that is, and if that is, it's going to be an amazing time having that guest on the show.
It'll make you green with envy.
Oh, I can't wait to check that out. But that's why everybody should be checking it out. Just hit that subscribe button for Nerd Initiative on YouTube. Like, seriously, a lot of great content happening there. Play for Keeps is blowing up. Wrestling Night Live, like we alluded to as well. And obviously, the official pregame for New Comic Book Day is Turn a Page. Let's be honest about that. Plus, more stuff is in the works, too, especially a very big event happening in May, which we will get into as the weeks progress.
May the 4th?
Well, I know we're doing something big for that. I can't say that just yet.
Revenge of the 5th?
There's one, if I just say LFTC 9, and we'll leave it at that. So that all said, for anything and everything that is the ODPH, you can find it at odphpodcast.com. That's it for this week. So for the one and only Padawanje.
Fuck the Astros.
For the one and only Tom Craven.
Fuck the Astros.
I'm your host, Ken M. No, why not? Fuck the Astros. Thank you, as always, for listening to the ODPH podcast. We'll see you next time.
It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know. Cause anyone who's worth a damn be worth way more than a picture could ever show. You could find the right light, find the right angle, and never find your soul. And it can feel like a losing battle, and this plot is full of holes. This modern way of finding love just makes me feel so alone. And I can't be the only one sick of staring at my phone. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Don't know that I believe in the old time fable. Everyone has just one true love. All I know is you're across this table, and you're all I'm thinking of. So look up, talk to me, a better way to spend our energy. Just look up, talk to me. We don't have to float alone on the open sea. Talk to me. Talk to me. It's such waste of time, swiping left and swiping right on people you could know.